Okay, I just did a show and tell on the Rubber Stamp Madness postcards, and I thought, let's do it on the Stampscapes postcards. I have about one set of each of the 5 sets that I put out years ago, and we've been sending out what I call idea cards now for, I don't know, like the last 20 some odd years, but we're not doing that so much anymore these days because postcards are outrageous in price to get, but at one time they were really super affordable by these printing companies that started going online, and you can do digital uploads and they would do digital printing, and you can get small runs of postcards as opposed to having thousands of them printed up at any given time, due to the 4-color separation process and the plate setups and everything like that. They would do gang printing with all the other orders coming in from, I don't know, whatever, the nation or around the world. So you can get small runs of postcards made, 25, 100, couple hundred or something like that. Mine are all from this company called Vistaprint, and there were other companies out there doing it. They didn't group the postcards in packages like this or, consolidate them. That was something that we did in-house, but I started getting different postcards made, but then at some point in time we started doing sets, or it might have been vice versa. I might have started doing sets first and then just sending out whatever types of cards we had at any given time. But anyways, this was the 5th and final set grouping that I ever did, and these ones were the oversized postcards, what they called, and what are these, about 5 by 7 or so. And I had some of my larger pieces done on this size of postcard right here. The other side were the typical, they're not 4 by, they're roughly like a 1/4 page card size, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. It wasn't exactly that, but similar. And this one was more like a 1/2 page type of piece. So what I did was I had some of my full page scenes done and 1/2 page scenes done at full size. So anyways, this is a little cover piece that I did right here showing the different postcards that were in this set here. And I was looking at it, I was thinking, I was kind of experimenting around with some things at this point in time. A little bit, there wasn't a huge amount of, experimentation in terms of media by me at this given time. This is probably came out about, roughly around the year 2000, I'm guessing, or so. I've had, these scenes printed up after that and available individually, but probably in the smaller sizes and just, again, outside of the set. Okay, enough babble. Let's get into this right here. So this piece right here was using a few of my Greco-Roman pieces, or 2 of them, I should say, with the columns right here and this little figure. But this is one of my favorite color schemes that I've used over the years, and that's doing kind of a grayscale scene, but then tinting it with, I don't know, maybe about 2 or 3 brown tones in there. And then what I did, just to tweak the temperature scheme a little bit, was I would add in a little bit of bluish tinges here and there. And then there's a lot of the color box frost white in here, the white pigment ink. I'm using more of the Brilliance these days, but it was all color box back then by Clear Snap, so an oil-based pigment ink. And these are anything that is in here that were done on cardstocks. It was all on glossy cardstock at the time. So oil-based pigment inks have a reputation for not drying on a glossy cardstock, okay, but I was just adding it in these really thin applications, just as I do now. The Brilliance just dries faster now because it's water-based and fast drying. But a lot of the rocks in here and waterfalls and the crooked branch in here and a lot of little white highlights throughout here. It's a really involved piece. I don't remember if I still have the original of this one. It seems like I would somewhere. I don't know if I've auctioned it off or what. But I would do these little layouts in the back talking about the different techniques right here. This one uses the mystical waters down here too, which is a little bit different at the time. Okay, this one right here, this piece right here was from let's see, I was going to say it was the multi-pack of stamp board rounds and ovals, but this one was just a pack of these larger oval pieces, and stamp board was really an amazing surface to stamp on. And now it's called Clayboard Art Tiles, okay? But they don't have the rounds and ovals. The rounds and ovals were extremely expensive for ampersand art to do because cutting these out like that required, this specific type of tooling. It's cutting them out individually like that. And they were selling those packs, I think, for less than it cost to make them in terms of wholesale. But they said they wanted to put that type of thing out there and, for the customers. And I thought that was really cool. But they didn't do that for too long. It was discontinued. But I still have a few of those here and there because they were such cool shapes, and Clayboard Smooth is just an amazing surface to stamp on because you can stamp on it with any type of media, and you can go back in and you can do reverse marks into it like scratchboard. All right, so this right here is from the Symmetry set, and it has a couple different sizes of these butterflies here, these kind of Art Nouveau butterflies that I drew when I was in college. And this one right here I drew for a rubber stamp convention t-shirt, except for the center area it was a rubber stamp. But these little swirly kind of things like this around there, those little Art Nouveau Aubrey Beardsley type of little swirly things are also in this set, and I put it on the perimeter area. So this is roughly about the original size of that stamped piece. I remember it was like a half page like that. So this around here was on Star Dreams Silver, and I gave it that kind of patina that I really like doing on that Star Dream paper. Star Dream's kind of expensive nowadays too. Nowadays as well, so just the things that we can do. There's other alternatives these days, and there's more options, I would say, than back then in terms of paper, but I don't know, some of the papers are really expensive. But I really like kind of doing these different types of backgrounds like this on these postcards. It kind of, I don't know, it's like the graphic designer in me got to kind of play around with layouts and fonts and things like that. Tropical lighting here, again, the cool bluish tinge within the warm color scheme. The printing company really got the printing down really well, and these colors are really true to the original. This one right here was a half page here, so a little bit reduced, just so I can fit it into the format of this postcard with some additional text here. But I remember I put this on the back here, just with this little kind of watermark type of image in the background like that. And back then, these postcards, like I said, they were so inexpensive to do. The backside printing, as long as it was in black and white, was free back then. Just with the front, and the front glossy color was really reasonable at the time. These things were like pennies to do. Now it might be, I don't know, no less than, maybe 20 times that amount now. Okay, so this one right here was done. I originally did a scene like this one at a rubber stamp retreat. And when I got back, I did it with my spooky branch right here, tree branch. But this right down here is the cracked earth, when we have some of the rocky peaks in the background and cloud space right up here, and then another symmetry image like that. I did it again. I don't know. Everyone loved this one when I did it. I don't know. You think it would be kind of a, I don't know, a select type of audience, but I don't know. I had more compliments on this one than anything. Maybe at that retreat, or I don't know, I might have posted it online or something like that. I think that's what it was. The scenic stamping group on Yahoo, maybe. And I don't know, maybe the people that like this type of thing really like it or something like that. So I just heard from a lot of people about that. These Eyes, 2007 right here. Okay, so this is a little bit later than I thought it was. 2000. Some of these pieces were earlier though. 2007, 2006. Yeah. Okay, now this one right here uses the prickly branches and the twisting, what was it? Curvy branch and prickly branches right here. But just kind of stamped in reverse. Okay, so what we did was we did this kind of, I need to do this one again in a video sometime. There's probably a video up on the channel doing this type of technique right here, but die basting some glossy cardstock, okay, in this kind of Northern Lighty type of thing. It's not in the Northern Light color scheme, but it's that, you know, that vertical kind of curtainy type of application. And then what we did was we just took a water bottle like this and squirted it, okay, so you get these different types of kind of bleaching textures in here, okay? And then you take and you stamp out a couple of these images in the color scheme that you were using. So there's like a blue curvy branch right back in here, there. It's probably like this tone of blue right here, okay? But then I'm also stamping, let's see, this branch right here. I think it was a wet stamp of that curvy branch, and I think I stamped it into the wet ink right here. I mean, it wasn't super wet, but a little damp. And then when you lift it, it gave it this kind of reverse impression back there. But what you do is you also stamp it in white. So you're stamping it in variations of blue, and then you're kind of bleaching or doing reverse impressions in there, okay? But then you follow it up with a few, at this point in time, it was gel pen dots, you know, little highlights on there. And then I stamped it in black as well, so just kind of all colors within the color scheme of the piece. And I don't know, it's kind of a different look. And yeah, those are all little dots in there, hand done. I wasn't doing this splatter painting at the time, but yeah, looking at this piece, I really need to do one of these again. So that'd be a good piece to do for this kind of hot, muggy weather that everyone's having these days. All right, so Autumn Vista right here, kind of my version of kind of a main type of scenario right here with the autumn colors and like Acadia or something like that. This one is a full page scene, and a lot of autumn tones in here, taking the shagbark hickory tree and doing a lot of coloring with my Marvy pens. It was probably these same pens right here, you know, from, I don't have a date on here, but yeah, it was probably these same pens. They're the same pens I've always had. These pens are like 30 years old, so yeah, those are stamped out in here. Soft Hills, Autumn Brook in the background. Maple Duo in here, plus a lot of other black impressions in here using stamps of a different kind of texture, but also I did them in black because this area in here without these black ones gets a little bit kind of muddled in pattern, okay? So you break up that pattern with these other forms in here, so the spruce tree in black, the leafless limbs in black, the pine tree in black, and then like an overhanging branch of the oak branch coming down like that. So this is one of my favorite pieces. I did another piece on 11 by 17 of a similar kind of structure. I don't know, a few years later. It's here on the channel. I think I did it in like 4 or 5 steps, and then I got some nice, better paint pens years later, and I went back in and I tweaked that one and I added that one. But someone's watching this that won that in that auction. Thanks for bidding on that one, and you have it up on maybe your wall right now. But this was one of my favorite pieces back then, and it was the precursor for that larger 11 by 17 piece that came later. But little bits of fog within that area in there. Just, again, to kind of break things up a little bit. All right, now this one was always a really fun piece, and I've redone this one. I think I used my Lady Rider in a similar scenario like this, but I always loved these waterfalls in here with these big pines like that. Kind of reminds me of this area in Yosemite that I took some photographs at and just happened to hit it like a perfect time, like around twilight or something like that, and I got some really good shots years and years ago. But trying to capture that kind of misty, kind of movement and long exposure type of thing in this piece right here. But here's that branch right here that was used in here, the spooky branch right down here. I think this was one of the first times I used it, multiple times. So it's like, well, you can see it right here. So it's like stamped out here, and then here, and then here again. So, it just looks, I don't know it looks like one bush or something like that right in this space right here. And I thought that was a perfect little foreground for, a pretty large half-page scene right there. So I should do this one again sometime. Or I should use this branch more often now that I look at it. And also when I'm looking at it here, I use this portion of it right up here for a little bit of a repeated kind of patterning, which brings continuity to a piece. And here's the little leafless branch again. So again, these areas in here can get a little bit muddled at times. So what you do is you stamp out dark, usually tree forms or something like that. It could be bushes though sometimes. So I stamped in a lot of those throughout the piece in there. And again, it just gives kind of some additional textural continuity. It looks like I was doing some splatter painting right down here in the water areas at the bottom of the water where the water's kind of misting and churning like that. And a lot of objects stamped under the water too. So I have some boulders. You can't really see them, but if you stamp out rocks underneath your water, it gives this illusion of kind of clear water. Most of the times we're just focused on kind of the top of the water, and it's changing colors, but it looks more opaque. But when you stamp out some objects underneath the surface a little bit, it looks like the water is more clear that way. Sometimes you do it in lighter touches though. You don't stamp them out like in that black, but this rock down here, I don't know, you can't really see it in the video here, but you stamp out those different types of forms down here in the color that you're coloring your water with. Your water's not always blue, or turquoise and stuff like that. If it's like a sunset scene or something like that, you might have the colors of the sky being repeated in that water area. So there might be a water area with oranges and reds and violets, you know what I mean? It just depends on the lighting and the color of your sky in there. So this one right here uses a lot of green tones in here too, which I really like. It tends to liven up the piece a little bit with some of that warmer tones, and I don't know, it gives it a kind of little mossy look. But yeah. All right, there's the butterflies again, and this one was stamped onto a clayboard panel. I don't know, it was pretty big. It's 5x5 or 6x6 or something like that. But that's the two different sizes of the butterflies on the symmetry sheet, and I scratched in these little stars in here. And again, it's like scratch board, except it's on a hardboard panel. As far as those boards go, you can do the same type of thing. You can stamp on scratch board as well, and that was really fun. All right, so another symmetry piece right here. And that's one of my fish heads, believe it or not. And I really like coloring it like that. And it's just a real simple piece, you know, just stamped out that, and I colored it in. I'm kind of curious to know what I colored it with. And then I did some additional scratching back into it. So this one was done on some of that clayboard as well. And then what I did was I just put an actual little fishing lure right here on my card, like that. And there it is right there. Okay, now I was doing some experimenting. I always thought that we can use some three-dimensional media with our scenes, because it's perfect for that. There's a lot of things like, in this case, it was reindeer moss right in here on the corners. Now, I didn't have like a shadow box, though. You really kind of need a shadow box for something like this. So if I had a shadow box, and I put that scene in there and then put those out on the side, it would look really fantastic. Or any kind of overhanging branches or something like that. I thought that would be really cool. But I just wanted to see what it would look like right in here. And I thought it looked really cool. So this one is one where I had to take a photograph of it. I think all the rest of them were scanned on a scanner. But here's the same trees that were used on the, that waterfall scene. All right, and another big box. I still have this box right here. It's a big, it's not a box, it's a cradled panel piece on clayboard. And it's pretty big. It's like this big, but it's also kind of raised. So it's like something that people would paint on, and then you can just hang it on your wall without framing it because it's a raised panel. But this one, again, you can scratch back into it. So I did this whole composition using a bunch of the symmetry sheet pieces. And then I did a lot of little scratches back into it, doing all this highlighting and texturing. And then I went back into it with that, that brownish tinge color scheme. That was like this one right here. Okay. But on that board, it allows you to go back and do those reverse marks, so you can add in all that kind of highlighting in here. There's hot sun and these different moons and the different phases, and that face right there. And I think I added in, I just scratched back in these, the arms, the sun arms like that back into it. But I always like this piece right here. And more moon phases from the symmetry piece set right here. Cloud cumulus on the side like that, and then dark cloud on the side. And looking down here, I went and did those reverse marks, stamping in white pigment ink over the top of the darker ones with the prickly branch like that. And then this one right here, this is like a half-page scene right here. But I wanted it to look like, some kind of like celestial chart with the moon phases like that. And then all these like concentric circles and things like that, or this French curve like that was just added in with a white gel pen at the time. So yeah. Yeah, these are fun right here. I haven't done these little layouts like this in a really long time. But like I said, it kind of was for the designer in me. Okay, this one right here. This one was a really significant piece. This one was the like the precursor of that other one with the on the cliff. So this is people really love this piece right here, and it was using a lot of the soft hills and the autumn banks left and right, and you know I just used a little bit of the pond stamp I think right here and put that horse right down here, which I thought was perfect for the sun shining down in here, but. A lot of times I went with kind of darker scenes, but this one was like a lighter one, you know, because I just wanted to get all those fall tones in there and those different colors in the background like that. That's the soft, is that soft? No, this one's glowing orb, I think, right in there. You can barely see it because you can see these textures around here because they just stamped it in such a light color. But that could be either a sun or a moon. It's a sun in this case, but if you stamp it in dark color, you know, or blue tones or something like that, it looks like a moon. But this is one where I really started building up all of these different types of grasses and things like that in the foreground. So there's several different grasses in here. Then I stamped some of the tree cluster in there, and then other trees behind there. And again, here's those dark trees in here. See right in here, if you just went with these trees right in here and it just transitioned into the blue, that blue in there, it would be a little bit murky. So you just separate all these different things in here with these dark trees in the background. So it kind of separates them, but it also unifies them because these trees are right behind in the foreground, but it's also going through these mid, you know, areas, mid distance and all the way up into the background, you know, like that. And plus they provide something nice and dark and crisp against these background things that are a little bit more kind of, you know, mid-tone and mono value, okay? But you can also see them right back in here. Those little dark black trees are just like the tips of, not this pine tree here, but I use like the dual, the pine duo tree right back in here. And it's also throughout here. So some of these areas, like I said, when you get, there's the black trees right in here. Those are stamped in there. Those aren't part of that design. So I stamped them all throughout in the background right here. A little bit more of them right here and here. And then in the more distant ones here, I was only using like the very tips of those little trees in there. So yeah. And then there's that leafless limb, small, again, right in here and here and here. I don't know, those aren't something that you're really going to notice, you know, when looking at this piece in general. And there's your scenic stamper and you're analyzing it. But these little things like this, these dark trees like this, and all these little dark ones in the background, they bring this piece together in terms of kind of visual continuity. And back then, I didn't have as many types of colors of paint pens or gel pens, so it was largely using white throughout here. So these days I would use yellows, oranges, golds, light greens, you know, I'd use all kinds of blue tones in here with the paint pens. But I guess even when you're just using white, you can get a lot of texturing and depth and whatever your highlights just with one color. So anyways, those are the set number 5 postcards right there. Hope you liked them, and thanks so much for watching.